evening, everyone. Welcome to Sissy's Cards and Crafts. I am Sissy. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Eastern Ontario, Canada. Tonight, I thought we would do, it is a current stamp set. It's from the annual catalog again, so it's only available until April. And it is the Beautiful Gallery Suite Collection. It's a mega suite, so it comes with all sorts of stuff. It's beautiful. Where's the page that shows everything? I skipped it. There we go. So it has 2 sets of stamps and dies. Amazing. They're quite intricate, quite lovely. It also comes with an embossing folder, and I really like this one. It is called a Damask Design embossing folder. And then these pressed flower motifs, gems, as well as a ribbon. So you get everything. And then the paper. So let's start with the paper because it's kind of the last thing I mentioned. It is a 6x6, but we have some scenery. And then, of course, the B-sides are just kind of muted colors. Florals, all sorts of florals. There, I believe, is 4 of each one. This is so pretty. This is the one we're going to use tonight. So the B-side, like I said the other night, I quite like the B-sides. A nice scenery. This one as well. This B-side, which is the B-side, I really... Or no, this is the A side. I really do like that. And then this gray muted. Looks like a gray wash with this floral. This one is really nice. I'm almost thinking of doing something for my washroom with this. Just to even frame it. I think it's gorgeous. The green. This is quite neat too. It's just a line drawn picture. And then this was the other one that I really like, this design. So a mountain sort of design here with, again, a line drawn picture on the back. So really what's A and B on those ones, I'm not sure. This one is quite pretty as well. And then this, and that's almost like the damask that is in the embossed folder. So we've seen this one already. And I think we're down to probably the last one. This nice little boat. I think I used that for Father's Day last year. And oh, this one was quite nice, and I was going to use this one tonight. And then, oops, sorry. And then this map. I don't know what the map is of. Doesn't really give any names, but quite a nice drawing there. And then this, the homestead picture. And then this beige background. So lots of great papers in that. Really, really like that. These stamps. So, well, first off, here's the embossing folder. So again, it kind of has that same sort of pattern that we saw. It is not a 3D embossing folder. So we have 2 different types of embossing folders. One kind of regular, another one which is 3D. The 3D ones are considerably deeper. They're quite nice, but you need an extra, different pad to go through. Pad is not the right word. So you'll notice here on this, like the cutting plates rather, sorry. So I wouldn't use 1, I would use, I believe, 3 or 4 for 3D. So you need a separate, and all of your stamp cut and emboss machines comes with that extra one. You can see these gems. They're really quite neat. They have like a pressed flower, so the floral. They are fairly thick, and there's a good weight to them as well. So a little bit, you don't want to be putting a whole lot on your cards, because it will, if you're mailing them. All right, so we have beautiful motifs. So here, this one has most of the sentiments. I don't know. Yeah, the other stamp set doesn't even have sentiments in it. And then there's a couple kind of background stamps here. So that's quite nice. Very generic, not generic sort of sentiments, but ones that you can use quite frequently. This one has these gorgeous flowers, sort of. So there's like a Queen Anne's lace. This looks really nice done in vellum. And then there's like a stem of leaves. There is a fern. So really, like these two, well, these three I use a lot. They just can go with so many different cards, right? And they work so well. Again, on vellum, it's just gorgeous. Then there's these ones, and these ones don't cut all the way through. They will cut out this whole shape, but not every line cuts out. And so you can kind of use it for corners. This one the same. I don't know if there's a picture here. You kind of lose the stick on these things. I need to get more. As I mentioned the other night, I need to get more metallic sheets. Okay, where does it show? Saw one here. I actually thought of doing it tonight. So here you can see how there's some spots where you can tuck it in. This one here, I guess here's a better picture, doesn't cut the whole thing out. It just kind of cuts parts of it out so you can lift the leaves and stick stuff under there. They're really, really neat dies. I quite like them. A set that I'm going to have in my, it's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to be utilizing it. This one just is so versatile. And then the Gallery Blooms is the second set, and here's some flowers. So these are stamps, pretty much the same size. Now this Queen Anne's lace is not the same size, so we can't stamp it and cut it out. But gorgeous rose. We're going to use this one here tonight. And then there is 13 dies in this set, and we're going to use some of these tonight. So we have some standalone, again, Queen Anne's lace, some leaves, some little almost dandelion poofs. We're going to use this little one, which is some leaves. This cuts out the stamps. Here's another one we're going to use tonight, kind of like a long stemmed grass. And then these other ones cut out the stamped images. And then we have a frame, and this cuts out 2 frames. So quite nice. It works well with the embossing sheet as well, or the embossing folder as well. So again, something that I think is quite versatile and will probably be keeping in my set, because I just think this whole set works really, really well together, and it's just beautiful. It is beautiful. It's a little more on the pricey side. So I believe it's $190. Yeah, so it's listed here as $191. That's for the whole suite, obviously. If you wanted just to do the bundles, they're like $63 for the one, $72 for the other. Keep an eye on it, because this is going to go out in April. Whether they continue it or not, I don't know. If they continue it, it won't be a suite anymore, but you will be able to, if they continue it, you'll be able to buy it. Okay. So what I've done is I've cut out a cloud cover card, And I used, again, the stylish shapes like we used last night. And you can't really see this too much, but I did take this lovely, it was already kind of like a damask looking pattern, and I put it through the embossing folder. So I cut the circle first, and then I put it through. Now, I cut these papers, I put these two together, then I cut the circle, then I took this off and ran it through the embossing folder. So because when we emboss something, it tends to shrink the paper. I made this just a little bit bigger. I'm going to have to kind of trim it up, but I'm going to line this up to that circle, make sure it's even. And just, you can see here, like it's just hanging over the edges. So I'm going to come back and trim that up when we're done. So that is our card base. We're going to use our stamp, and I'm going to use the one that says wishing you love and happiness that lasts a lifetime. And we're going to pop that right in the middle there. And what I would like to do is do some heat embossing with that. And I think I've done it before here, but we need our Versamark ink pad. We need to have our, I'm just going to call it the poof, but it takes the little static out of the, off the paper, so the embossing powder does not adhere to it. Then I think I'm going to use the silver. Am I going to use silver or am I going to use gold? I'm going to use this one. Now, I had bought separately embossing powder, and I got this metallic platinum, which I quite like. So I don't know if that is one that is available. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub this on here just to take off any of that static that might be on there. Clear that off. And then I'm going to take my stamp. I'm going to close this up again so I can center it. Better get my paper here first because I'm going to need that. And I'm going to take my Versamark. So this is a watermark ink. It's almost like it's going to act like a glue to hold on our embossing powder. By the way, I'm casing this card again tonight out of the catalog, but I'm using a different pattern paper, different colors, but just to change it up a little bit. All right, let that all go in there. And it looks like I've got pretty good. So now I'm going to take this and we're going to put on the embossing powder. And it should stick to where that was on there. I'm just going to add a little bit more just to kind of get the edges. All right. If you have a little bit left, like I see a couple pieces right there, I'm just going to grab a paintbrush, a dry, clean paintbrush, and dry them off, or wipe them off rather. Now I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to dump this back in because you do not want this around when you get out the heat tool because it will just become solid. That's what happens. That's what we want it to do here. So we don't want it to happen on. I'm just going to grab the heat tool wherever it went. My squeaky chair, I apologize. For some reason, fell in down behind something here. I'll plug it in, our heat tool here. You have levels 1 and 2. 1 is more for drying something. We need 2. We're going to make sure it gets nice and hot. And then you're going to just take it and put it on the embossing powder. And you can see it's creating it to get nice and shiny. Perfect. And I think that was a good color. It almost looked gold on there, but now it's more silver. It's called platinum. So there we go. And then I kind of cheated. I went ahead, and so you didn't have to see me stamp everything. And I stamp and die cut all of these. And what we're going to do is we're going to run these all around the edge and create kind of a wreath covering that circle up. We're going to just kind of go like that. And then I have die cut, like I already alluded to, some of these longer petals that were, or leaf stems, sorry. And we're going to pop them in around, as well as these little guys. We're going to pop them in too. So, color. How are we going to color these? There are a couple ways we can do it. Some will take your ink pad, and I'm not going to use this color, but some will take the ink pad and they'll squeeze it together like that, open it up. Now I have ink on there, and they'll use that ink to paint basically on here. And I'm going to show you how they do that, because we're going to basically do the same thing, but I'm going to use these watercolor pencils. So I just got these and I just tried them today. And the way we're going to paint them on is you could do watercolor, like use your watercolor paper and a water paintbrush, a water painter, I think they're called, which you just fill this with water, and then this is a brush that is going to get your paper wet and work that way. You could also use the Wink of Stella. It works, which it looks really, really nice. I did this with the Wink of Stella. I don't know if you can see, but there's a shimmer to it. So there's some sparkle to it. But we're not going to do that. Tonight we're just going to use our blender pens. So you get 3 together, and it is a glycerin based liquid that's in there, so it doesn't totally saturate the paper like water would. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the blue pencils, and the pencils, crayons are just a really soft pencil in there. Lead, I guess, not really lead, but you know what we use in our pencil crayons. And so what happens is when I just kind of go on here, and I'm just going to hit the high points really on this because I don't want it really dark, and I'm using the balmy blue. I'm going to take my blender pen. You can see that looks really pink, but there's no pink on it. It's just I've used it with pink, and pink, as we know, stains. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to hit this with the glycerin or the blender pen. And now it is spreading that color around. This one was a little bit too dark, so we're going to just kind of tuck it in the background. But I want it a little bit lighter, and this is kind of what I was thinking I wanted. So we're just going to paint this all on here like this. And if I was using the ink, it would be a lot harsher of a color, and I didn't want that. Like I said, this was even too dark. I just want a really sort of light color, and so I thought this would be the way to go. And I could come back in and layer more colors on. It's all how you want to utilize and what you want your end product to look like. So this is kind of what we're going with. Doesn't have to be perfect coloring, obviously, and I'm really just hitting those lines that the stamp has created to follow those for my coloring. I'm just gonna pull that color out. Start at where you had those pencil coloring. Pencil. Where you added the color, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's been a long day. How's everybody else's day been going? Still trying to catch up from the time change, plus I just had some other things going on here. Home repairs, our son, he's been, I think he must be getting sick or something. He seems to be off a little bit. Getting him to his programming and then routines of watching a movie every night. That's why I have to kind of post these so late. It's because every night the movie, dinner and a movie. As soon as we get up in the morning, basically, he says, "What's for supper and what movie are we watching?" And you need to follow through. So when you're done with these, now this was really light. I'm just going to color that, and you can see nothing's really coming off. So it's ready to go for the next one. I am just going to put a little bit of gray in here just to kind of take that white out. I did that one with gray, so I'm just going to kind of hit these with gray. And so these are double-ended pens as well, which is nice. So when I was doing the previous one, I could kind of do blue on one end, and then I just flipped it over and did the green on the other. So I didn't have to keep kind of cleaning them off in between. And then you get 3. They last a long time. Now these leaves I wanted a little bit darker, so I'm going to make sure I kind of give enough color in there to make sure that whole leaf gets a good amount of color. Some will even just scribble on a piece of paper to kind of create a paint. And that's a way a lot of artists use the watercolor pencils. These are not unique to Stampin' Up. These are unique to Stampin' Up because they coordinate with all the colors. Like this is Old Olive, Balmy Blue, Basic Gray, like the same colors that our inks and paper and everything is. So it's nice that everything coordinates like that. All right, one more. Okay. You might think, oh, that's horrible coloring, Sissy. Well, guess what? It doesn't really matter because I'm just going to take those painters and go through. So, doesn't, I don't really care. You can see it's just filling that in. It's just giving us a nice watercolored look, right? Which I think is genius because there's been times I've wanted to achieve that watercolor look, but I just couldn't get the ink to do what I wanted to do. I'm not talented enough to do that. So this is an easy way for me to kind of achieve that look. And I think and then to use this blender pen and not have to use water really makes it nice as well. So I'm not saturating paper and having to wait for it to dry and it kind of peel or getting all bally. What's the word I'm looking for? Pilling is what I would call it in with material. Maybe that's the same with paper. You can get the pilling if you use a lot of the blender pen. Here you can see see it's a little bit greener maybe. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. I have the free version of the StreamYard, so it's a little bit, you don't get the luxury of having better cameras and mics. Maybe one day, when I get my viewership up, I will invest in that. Okay. So I think I'm just going to glue these right down, and we're going to kind of situate them like that. I want to make sure I'm covering that circle. I like doing something like this because I struggle with, you get the nice saying for the outside, like that's not a problem. But then the saying on the inside, you want something that works with what you're trying to say to the recipient, but yet you need to, I can't seem to find something with the same font and the sentiment that I want to try to get at, and that kind of bothers me. I'd like it to be the same font, come from the same set, but it doesn't often work that way. So being able to kind of just do one sentiment where it's in the center, that works. I'm getting a little nervous that I might have glue coming through there, so I'm just going to pop this paper in there just to make sure I'm not going to have glue. Trying to stay away from the edges, but the center edge, but this Tombow glue is really a good glue. It works quite well. I've been doing some other crafting and don't want to use this glue because it's expensive. And so I've been using just other cheaper stuff, and I'm not happy with it. And you know what? Now that I've glued that all down, I should have fit these guys in first. I cut quite a few of these. I don't know how many I'm going to need. Ooh. I might have to actually just cut them down. Cut them right down to get my glue to stick. So, moral of the story or lesson to be learned, make sure you don't glue them down first. You put these added things in. But, like I say, I can always just kind of stick them in, or like cut them down and stick them in. Okay, with those, and then these little guys, some of them I think are going to pop in, and maybe others are going to sit on top. Let's see what, I'll show you the one that I'm copying here is this one. So there's quite a few of the stems on there, and these ones still did tuck in behind. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to do that though, does it? I can do what I want because it's my card. So I'm thinking that's gonna work not too bad. I can go back through and cut them off. I'll stick them in there and then trim those up. And that's how it will look. I really like the beige on here. I think that looks nice. adds a little bit there. These little guys be a little bit trickier to glue in there. So let me know where you guys are from. If you're following, I really appreciate it. Just to reach out and let me know. And what your thoughts are. What sort of are you in? Have you looked at the new products? Anything really excite you that's coming out? What about the new colors, the new in colors? I'm going to post them on my Facebook page tomorrow. Now that more demonstrators are showing them. I'll put mine up. I think they're so cute. I like the hydrangea hue that's coming out, the blue. I think that's gorgeous. Where did that piece go? Anybody see where it went? I almost wanted to do vellum in the middle of this, but I just opted against it. So all I'm doing here is just trimming those little pieces out so we don't have them. Oh, there's that piece. Kind of sitting in the middle there. And I don't know if these are the dots that I want on here. What I do want is some of the ribbon. So on the card, there was just bits of ribbon sticking out like that. But I almost think I want to just put like a bow right there. One, to kind of deter from those darker flowers that I put on there. Oh, I've got glue on my hands. It's making it difficult to use the, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put the bow right there, and I'll use a glue dot to hold that down. Now, again, as a seamstress, a quick way to keep that from fraying is just take heat and just kind of go over the edge. Don't touch it too much. And you can just feel that it's created a bit of a lip there. So now it's not going to fray. Or it will take a little bit, quite a bit more to have it fray than what it did before. So let's put this ribbon back. And let me know what you think of this card. Is this a set you like? I know it's expensive. Like I said, you don't have to purchase it all, but it is one of those keepers, I think, because it just has so much versatility to it. Great for a sympathy set, great for a birthday set. Like I said, even home decor. There's ones in there, and if you look on in the catalog, they show several different ones, home decor sort of pieces. So there we go, all said and done. And then we have our inside. So I could like to cover these sides up. I could come in here with some more of this and some of these just to give that a little bit more. I'm not so worried about that, but I think I will put at least one of these down here. Just be mindful when you close it that you don't want it to be seen. I think I'm going to just stick that down there just to give it some added color. And I like the embossed. I like that it's got a little bit of a sheen to it and an embossed. Now, thoughts on these guys. Let's try. It's maybe. So I was showing last night and then I kind of got sidetracked where you can use the putty end of your, take your pick and just kind of come in here and pull it off and then stick them down. I do think they look nice actually. And then let's just put one down here. 3. Just adds that little bit extra color. Do keep your end on there though, because that putty will collect dirt. All right, let me know what you think. I think it turned out quite nice. Just to show with this Wink of Stella though, let's just kind of maybe come in here and do these gray, the Wink of Stella. Covered that one up. And get these ones here. Poke in there and get that one. Just, I'm not sure if you can see that there, but there's just a little bit of shine that looks elegant. Very nice. I like the colors together. So let me know what you think. All right, take care.